The idea of stopping, it's never come into my head. I had a vision and I'd worked out what I wanted Hampers to look like. The bit I was struggling with was working out what the right steps were to take and what's the right thing to do in the right order.
What were the first 3 things you focused on that actually moved the business forward?
I was building a business, not a hobby. Working out what it meant to be my own boss, networking, getting out in front of people, connecting, building an audience.
Yeah.
When you go to the supermarket and you're looking for ketchup, you think of Heinz, don't you? Yeah? I want to be that for Hampers.
Yeah. As you know, we've got a tradition on the podcast where viewers submit their own questions via Slido. Got one question for you. So, Hannah, nice to see you again. You okay?
Hello, Harvey. It's good to be here.
So, you're the first guest that has appeared twice on this show.
Okay.
So, welcome again.
Thanks.
So, for anyone that has clicked on this video or maybe not seen the episode that you were in November, could you explain who you are and what your business is?
Of course. So, I am Hannah-Chevalier-Taylor. Still getting used to my surname because I'm newly married. And I run Hampers, which is a local gift concierge specialising in embroidered gifts and hampers.
Perfect. So my first question is, looking back, was the plan to always have your own business, or was this just an idea that you had later on?
So absolutely not. No, I actually trained to be a teacher.
Oh, wow.
So looking back, I actually feel quite lucky that I knew the career path that I wanted to take, because there's so many people nowadays, youngsters, that just have no idea what they want to do. And I didn't realise at the time how lucky I was that I knew I wanted to be a teacher. So all my trident and work experience was in schools. I obviously went off to go to university and train to be a teacher, came back and taught. And then I had a big personal life event that happened, met my husband, who planted the seed of starting my own business.
Right, okay, perfect.
And that's where it all came about.
And what does your husband do then? Has he got his own business, or?
So he's a software engineer.
Ah, right, okay.
So he does help with the business in terms of like my website and stuff, but no, he does have another job as well.
That's great. And then, what was your early life like, and who do you think has had the biggest influence on you in regard to starting a business? Is it your husband?
You've guessed that one already, so I grew up in Jersey, and actually looking back, I can see how I've always enjoyed buying gifts for other people and thinking about what they would like. Always loved writing cards. I'm a real suckler for writing a bit of an essay in a card.
Okay.
I just feel like if someone's going to receive a card to Harvey, happy birthday from Hannah, not the most meaningful. And I don't know, that's not really going to spark much at all. Whereas, you know, if you put a funny joke in there, if you put a memory in there, if you put something quite special and personal, then I find it's more worth it in a card. So growing up in Jersey, knew I wanted to be a teacher, went off to the University of Winchester, came back and taught for a couple of years. As I said, personal life event happened, so life came crushing down as they do. Then met my husband, who completely lifted all ceilings I'd put on my life. Like, I'd never imagined myself as running my own business. I actually thought that was something that I wouldn't be able to do.
Really?
So meeting him and him just lifting kind of the ceilings that I'd put on my life, and as I say, planting that seed just meant that I went for it.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. My next question is, what drives you more, the idea of success or the fear of failure, do you think?
I was really interested by this question because it's always success for me. I've never thought about giving up on Hampers. I've never thought about, you know, stopping or, you know, so many people have asked me, you're going to get a part-time job. It's like, no, like not at all. Like, I'm in this to make this work, and I'm making this work. You know, I'm building this business. Yeah,
perfect. Yeah, because I thought when I was writing out the questions, I thought that today of like my podcast as well.
Sure.
And it's always been the success. I've never thought about just stopping it and just starting something else.
I completely get that, you know, not everything's going to work, and you're going to make improvements, you're going to make changes, but the idea of stopping, it's never come into my head.
That's good.
It's not an option.
Was there ever a time where things felt uncertain and you questioned everything you were doing?
So I think the big thing about the uncertainty is that I had a vision and I'd worked out what I wanted Hampers to look like, and how I wanted the business to be running.
Yeah.
And the bit I was struggling with was working out what the right steps were to take. And I'm all about efficiencies. So it's like, what's the right thing to do in the right order?
Yeah.
And so it was working out what that was. Like I knew where I was A now.
Yeah.
I knew where B was and where it looked like, but I didn't know what the steps were in between.
Right, okay. Yeah.
That's the thing looking back that I think I've struggled with.
Yeah, okay.
But we're there. We got there.
And then moving on to your business, Hampers. What was the very first version of your product like, and how has it evolved over time?
Sure. So the very first idea was around this collection of gifts.
Okay.
So the hamper idea that was like the primary thing was, I don't just want to think about individual products. I want that collection of gifts.
Yeah.
And then I always knew that if I was going to be running a gift service, a gift shop, I was going to do the personalisation.
Right. Okay.
Because to make a gift bespoke to the person, I felt like personalisation was up there. Now, in the early days, personalisation was looking in terms of vinyl. So I was using heat pressing vinyl and permanent vinyl. Now, how it's developed is the personalisation wise, I now do embroidery, which is much more longer lasting, it's much more quality, much higher quality, and I prefer it. Much prefer working with the embroidery. Obviously, product range that's developed in terms of I've broadened the product range and then niched down on where products weren't selling or weren't right. Brought in some local makers, having moved back to Jersey, so getting those involved as well. And then advancing out from just making the hampers from my workshop, but offering hamper services elsewhere around the island, and also branching into the planning services, so gift planning.
Perfect, okay. And then for someone that doesn't know what actually goes inside your hampers, is it data-driven, creative, or is it customer-led?
So I'm going to be really annoying here and say all three. So it's data-driven in terms of looking at market trends, looking at research, looking at my figures, my sales, that kind of thing.
Right, okay, yeah.
Customer-led in terms of, what are my customers asking for, what products are being sold most common, but also looking at customers and what products they choose to go together.
Right, okay, yeah.
And then in terms of creative, so I'm going to tell you a story. At Christmas, I worked with a client who just happened to be buying a present for my husband. So I came up with this idea. One of our products is a cooler rucksack, and I came up with a new design for it, and went with that. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to sit this on my market stall for Christmas and see how it does. Well, I've never sold as many cooler rucksacks at Christmas as I did this year, last year, just gone. But what it meant is that come Christmas Eve, I was embroidering out another one so that my husband had one to actually open on Christmas Day, because I had sold so many of them. So yeah, it was really fun to be creative and have like a specific person in mind and create that design around what he would like, and that immediate feedback from customers of, we love that design, and so many were sold.
That's great. And my next question, how do you approach pricing, essentially balancing quality with profitability?
Sure. So I love a sexy spreadsheet. I've spent the last few years, I don't know what version I'm on, version 5 or something, and I basically break down the costs.
Right,
because we're all in business to make a profit, so I need to make sure I'm covering my costs of the items, cost of the personalisation, the gift wrap, my time, and then I do some market research as well. So I look at, similar products, what are other people charging for them, looking at market trends in terms of the personalisation cost, and I come up with a round number.
And what has been the most difficult part when setting up Match Hampers?
So, as I said, working out the steps to take to get to where I wanted to be. And the second thing was working with other businesses.
Okay.
So I feel like I'm quite a trusting person. I love to give someone a go, and especially when it comes to involving people in the community. Now, I'll do that, but not at the detriment to my customers.
Yeah, okay.
So figuring out who the right businesses are to work with, and making sure we're a good fit before continuing with that partnership.
Yeah, okay, perfect. And then moving on to your specific topic. So I've given you building a premium gifting brand from scratch. First question, how did you go from idea to first paying customer with no brand and no audience?
So for me, that's easy.
Okay.
That was family and friends.
Oh, right, okay.
So, testing out products on them, testing out designs, getting their feedback, making improvements from that. That was a no-brainer. Yeah, literally started with my contacts.
Yeah, okay, perfect. And what were the first 3 things you focused on that actually moved the business forward, do you think?
Sure. So the mindset around that I was building a business, not a hobby.
Okay.
Was definitely one. Working out what it meant to be my own boss.
Yeah.
So setting my own deadlines and priorities. And the third one that helped move the business forward was networking, getting out in front of people, connecting, building a business, building an audience.
Yeah, okay. And my next question, how intentional have you been crafting the look, feel and experience of Match Hampers?
So I think we're talking about the brand here. I think it's definitely evolving for me. Yeah. I know what I want the brand to look like. I'm trying to make it look the way I want to. Yeah. But I think it's still evolving as I've really nailed down who my ideal client is, and it's about making sure that I share what Match Hampers can deliver in a way that's going to resonate with them.
Yeah, okay.
Now, talking about the brand, a funny story is my logo was designed by my husband and I on a ferry between Jersey and England. What are you going to do for 4 hours?
Yeah.
Design a logo, of course.
And then when someone receives a Match Hamper, what experience are you trying to create for them?
Sure. So I obviously gift wrap my hampers. So the experience and excitement of unwrapping the gift, first of all, and also discovering what's inside. Yeah. And that's part of why I love the collection of gifts, because I still remember one client receiving a hamper and seeing the container on the outside, seeing it all wrapped up, not even realising there was extra stuff inside. And I absolutely love being able to create that experience for people. Also, that when they discover these gifts, seeing how personal they are, both the products and the personalisation, and also like feeling that element that their loved ones have put a lot of thought into this, they care about them, they're here to celebrate them.
Yeah, okay. And then what mindset do you think you need to have in order to build a brand like yours?
Definitely a growth mindset.
Okay.
You want to be able to grow with the trends, grow with what your customers are wanting. Obviously you're going to be learning from mistakes. Definitely working out, processes that need to be put in place. Growth mindset for sure. Also, like to have confidence and belief in yourself.
Do you think if you didn't have your husband or family or friends, do you think you'd still have that confidence to build the business that you have now? Or
that's a really interesting question. You definitely don't build a business and do this on your own. Even if it was just me and my customers, that you've got to build that community around you, because you're always going to bounce off questions and ideas with people for sure.
Yeah, perfect. And then moving on to advice for others. If someone wanted to start a gifting brand like Match Hampers, what would you tell them to focus on in the first, say, 30 days?
Okay, so you have to think about this, Harvey, that the gifting business is worth billions of pounds. Okay, so if you're wanting to get into that, you're going to want to niche down.
Okay.
Some might say I'm not even niche enough yet. So think about who you want to be working with. Think about if you want to go down the products or the services route.
All right, okay.
And then do your research.
Yeah. Okay.
Research it, network, get your idea out there.
Yeah, okay. And then what would you prioritise more, product quality or the brand perception in the early stages of the business?
Sure. So I would say brand perception, but that product quality comes into that for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
But what's really interesting is that TAT sells.
Okay.
So there is a market for lower quality products.
Yeah.
It just completely depends what you want to focus on.
Yeah. Okay. And then my next question, if someone is starting from zero, how would you recommend they build an audience around their brand?
So as I did, start with your family and friends.
Okay.
Branch out to their connections. See what networking opportunities there are. Obviously, we've got the Jersey Entrepreneurial Group that we met through. We've got Greenhouse Networking that we met through at Greenhouse as well. So definitely get out there. But get your idea across, ask your questions, then listen.
Yeah.
Listen to what the person has to say back to you and take action.
Yeah, perfect.
The amount of days I've spent not taking action in like the early days, 4 or 5 years ago, whereas now I can see like taking action, that's where you get your progress from for sure.
Yeah, that's great. And then, as you know, we've got a tradition on the podcast where viewers submit their own questions via Slido. Got one question for you. Where do you see Match Hampers going in the next 5 years, do you think?
Sure. So I want to be the go-to for hampers. Okay. Yeah. You think about the word hampers, and I don't know about you, but you immediately think of food and drink, and then you think of Lamar. Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
That's what I think of, right? I want to be that missing gap of, you want that collection of gifts. For someone moving house, someone's having a baby, someone's getting married, a birthday. I want to be the go-to for your bespoke hampers for all occasions, specialising in the personalisation. Yeah, perfect. It's also like when you go to the supermarket and you're looking for ketchup, you think of Heinz, don't you? Yeah. Yeah? I want to be that for hampers.
Yeah, okay. And that's all my questions for you.
Fantastic.
But thank you so much. First guest that's appeared on the show twice. Thank you for coming on, and great to see you again.
Thanks for having me, Harvey.